All right, let's jump right in. Did you know that inside you right now, there's this huge invisible communication network running pretty much everything? And you don't even have to think about it. Today, we're going to decode that secret network, the endocrine system. I mean, think about it. That sudden jolt of adrenaline when something startles you, or that feeling of calm that washes over you. How does your body pull that off? How do all your organs and tissues and cells coordinate everything from your mood to how tall you grow, all without you lifting a finger? Well, that's your endocrine system. That's the answer. And honestly, the best way to picture it is like your body's own internal wireless messaging service. It's sending signals 24/7, coordinating and controlling just about the whole shebang. So, if we want to understand this incredible network, we have to start by learning its language. And that language is spoken through chemical messages. We call them hormones. You know, the word hormone actually has a really cool backstory. It was first used way back in 1902 by a guy named E.H. Starling. He was studying how the intestine could send a chemical through the blood to tell the pancreas what to do. And he had this light bulb moment. He realized this was a totally fundamental way the body talks to itself, completely separate from the nervous system. All right, so any good messaging service needs two key things, right? Senders and the messages themselves. So let's take a look at who's actually sending these hormone signals and what in the world are they trying to say. Okay, first thing we need to get straight is that there are two main styles of messaging. Endocrine signaling, that's our main focus, is like a public broadcast. A signal gets released into the bloodstream and just goes everywhere. Paracrine signaling, though, that's more like passing a secret note to your neighbor in class. The signal only hits the cells that are right next door. The really crucial thing to get here is that with endocrine signals, it's not about where the message starts. It's all about who's got the right receiver to pick it up. So who are these senders? Well, you probably know the big names, the classic glands like the thyroid and the adrenals, but, and this is so cool, the list is way bigger and honestly pretty surprising. Your own fat tissue sends out a hormone called leptin to tell your brain when you're full. Your gut has cells that release hormones to manage how you use food. Even your skin gets in on the action, using sunlight to start the process of making vitamin D. It just proves the endocrine system is literally all over your body. And get this, to make things even slicker, some messages are sent out locked, like they're encrypted. These are called prohormones. A great example is the thyroid gland. It releases a hormone called T4, which is kind of weak. But then T4 travels to a target tissue where it gets converted into T3, the super powerful, decoded version of the message. It's a brilliant way to have an extra layer of control right where it's needed. So the message is sent, but how does it get where it's going? Well, that brings us to the hormone superhighway itself, your bloodstream. But hang on, there's a catch. Your blood is mostly water, right? And some really important hormones, like steroids and thyroid hormones, are basically fats. They don't mix with water, so how do they travel? The solution is ingenious, specialized carrier molecules called binding proteins. You can think of them as a personal chauffeur service for these VIP hormones. And these binding proteins are absolutely essential. They do way more than just give the hormone a ride. They protect it so it doesn't get destroyed too quickly. They create this stable reservoir of the hormone in your blood so there's always some ready to go. And they make sure it gets spread out evenly to all the tissues that need it. They're basically the logistics managers of the entire endocrine system. Okay, so the message has been sent. It's cruising down the superhighway in its chauffeured car. But how does it know where to get off? How does it get delivered to the right house and not the one next door? This quote from the source material really hits the nail on the head. It says that it's not just about sending the signal out there. The target cell itself has to be ready and waiting to receive it. The entire system's incredible specificity really comes down to the receiver, not the sender. And that's where receptors come into play. A receptor is like a super specific lock on the surface of a cell. The hormone is the key, and only the hormone with the exact right shape, the right key, can fit into that lock, open it up, and deliver its message. If a cell doesn't have the right receptor, the hormone just floats right on by, message totally ignored. Now, a system this powerful needs some serious regulation. You can't just have these powerful messages firing off all the time with no control. So how does the body keep it all in perfect balance? Well, the answer is the absolute genius of feedback loops. The most common kind is called a negative feedback loop. Let's walk through it. Your brain, specifically the hypothalamus and pituitary, is like mission control. It sends a start signal out to a gland, let's say the thyroid. The thyroid gets the signal and starts doing its job, producing its hormone. As the level of that thyroid hormone goes up in the blood, Mission Control is monitoring it. It sees the levels rising and says, "Whoa, okay, that's plenty," and it shuts off the start signal. It is a beautiful, self-regulating system. This whole process, this constant back-and-forth communication and self-correction, has a name: homeostasis. It's how your body keeps everything on an even keel. Not too hot, not too cold, just the right amount of everything. It's really the ultimate goal of this entire secret network. But what happens when this perfectly tuned messaging service breaks down? As you can imagine, the results can be really serious. This is where we get into the whole world of endocrine diseases. We can basically group these problems into a few main buckets. You can have overproduction, just way too many messages being sent, like in Graves' disease, where the thyroid goes into overdrive. You can have the opposite, underproduction, not enough messages, which is what happens in type 1 diabetes with insulin. And then sometimes the message gets sent just fine, but the lock is broken, the receptor on the cell doesn't work. And finally, you can have tumors, which act like these rogue senders, just spamming the network and causing chaos. So here's the really hopeful part. Because we understand how the system is supposed to work, modern medicine is getting really good at fixing it. We can debug the system. We can use things like hormone replacement when there isn't enough, or use receptor blockers to stop a signal that's too strong. It's all about these super targeted, intelligent treatments. And this just brings up such an exciting point. We are nowhere near done figuring this all out. This isn't some old, dusty field of science. As this quote points out, we are still discovering new hormones, new pathways. We're still drawing the map of this incredible internal messaging service. Which really just leaves us with this one kind of mind-blowing question to think about. Over the last 100 years or so, we've gotten pretty good at reading our body's chemical language. So what's going to happen when we become fluent, when we learn how to write in that language perfectly? What kind of future does that unlock for medicine and for all of us?